Hey, Lowco sports fans, Lowco football fans, welcome to another edition of the Lowco Pigskin podcast, Lowco Pigskin Preview. We are talking high school football here in the South Carolina Lowcountry. And Wes, you're going to be joined a little bit later on. You recorded our segment breaking down the Skeeza games with Dylan Price, the former Dorchester Academy standout now studying at USCB, who's been helping us out. So you guys will break down all the Skeeza games. Got 6 games on the slate, including an amazing Lowco on Lowco battle with Thomas Hayward and Hilton Head Christian, and then another one with JP2 and Hilton Head Prep. Big showdown with Bethesda Academy and Colleton Prep. Beaufort Academy with a big non-region game on the road against Williamsburg. So, and then Dorchester and Patrick Henry also a big clash. So some really good games on that Skeeza slate, and I got to sit in the green room and listen to you guys talk about them after I got back from the bus stop. But that's going to be fun. But let's talk about the high school league slate, because it also shapes up to be a good one. We've got a couple of great Lowco on Lowco matchups. One of them that's going to be a clash, a great showdown in Class 1A, starting with Estill and Whale Branch. That's going to be amazing. Also got Colleton County at Hilton Head, another Lowco on Lowco. And then on Saturday morning, we'll have Beaufort at Battery Creek. Other matchups this week: Lucy Beckham at Bluffton, May River at James Island, Woodland at Ridgeland, and Wade Hampton at Edisto. But before we get into all this week's games, let's take a quick look back, Wes, at last week. Bluffton over Hilton Head 35-32 in overtime. The Bridge Bowl, you were there. We'll talk a little bit about that one. James Island 49-0 over Colleton County. May River 49-14 over Lucy Beckham. Battery Creek 40-24 over North Charleston after trailing by 10 at halftime. Wade Hampton blew out Ridgeland 55-8. Estill with the blowout of Bamberg Earhart 40-6. Number one team goes down in a big way. Whale Branch bounces back 37-18 against Bethune-Bowman, and Beaufort keeps rolling 34-14 against Philip Simmons. Then over on the Skeeza side, Cardinal Newman 69-40 over JP2. Beaufort Academy 48-6 over Palmetto Christian, and Hilton Head Christian won Monday night 28-12 at First Baptist. So, I know the one that jumps out is definitely Estill, but that Bridge Bowl was an instant classic. You've seen a bunch of them, and that's got to go down as one of the very best, going down to the wire in overtime, and such a great comeback by the Bobcats, and a great story with the backup quarterback Trace Hilleman coming in and getting the job done.
Yeah, I think I still have that preference to 2013, the Puna Ford game, because my Hilton Head Seahawks got the job done after getting blown out of the last few years by Bluffton. But this was an absolute classic, and just an incredible effort from Trace Hilleman and this Bluffton team rallying back after losing Max Von Hohenstraten to his shoulder injury, and just terrific play on both sides to get back in this game and rally past the Seahawks. And Jalen Linder putting on a show on offense and defense, made a big pick in overtime to help seal that win, and Luis Rojas in the clutch delivering that game-clinching field goal. I mean, just a storybook finish for this Bluffton Bobcat team. That first-year head coach has done a fantastic job with Hayden Gregory and Jared Karkoff, and the energy that they've instilled in this program is certainly noticeable. It was noticeable during the summer, but now it is on all full force, and just so happy for those coaches and for those, especially for those seniors who, it's been tough for those last few years, and they haven't been picking up those wins. But to beat your rival in the senior year, I mean, there's nothing like it. So, what a statement win for Bluffton, beating Hilton Head, and sets them up to be a region contender if they can keep this up. Certainly a big one this coming week. We'll preview that one against Lucy Beckham, and certainly I think that's a winnable game for the Bobcats, and we'll discuss that more. But man, what a showing from this Bluffton team! Resilience all the way through as they come back to take down Hilton Head by 3 in overtime. But man, Estill, that really sticks out when you take down the number one team like that. You defeat Bamberg Earhart 40-6 against a Bamberg team that has been so consistent over these last few years and getting results. But man, it just speaks to the talent, the fight of this Estill squad, who I believe is a real contender now in Class 1A. And we didn't mention this at the top, but May River, I think that was a surprise by the way they beat Lucy Beckham, a Lucy Beckham team that was, I believe, like 10 points in their previous games, 10 or less points. So
yeah,
May River scored 40, and that's a huge accomplishment for the Sharks.
Yeah, no, that was very impressive, and we'll see if they can keep it going this week. They've got a tough test up at James Island. They're going to be very interesting. That's going to be an early litmus test to really see how how much of a front runner James Island is, and whether, where May River fits into that, or, maybe they knock them off and they become the team to beat, despite the 1-4 start. So, a lot of things going to start to become more clear here over the next couple of weeks. And it definitely starts this week. And it's going to clear up a lot in Class 1A, because you got two of the top teams in the lower state going head to head. Whale Branch has been a little banged up with injuries. Had that tough loss to Battery Creek, but bounced back last week, doing some different things on offense. They got the freshman Jermon Bowers in there a little bit, just to get him some meaningful snaps, which would potentially give them the option to put Boucher in the backfield, or split him out, and then Keith Chisholm got a little bit of run in the backfield, and I think we're going to see more of that as well. So they're going to have to get a little bit creative to find some guys to replace Cliff Major and Mason Griffin. But they've got the guys, and it might neutralize that passing threat a little bit. But I think they've got to be able to run the ball first. And but man, it's going to be tough sledding against Estill, a team that has played just phenomenally. The only loss, a really hard fought battle against Wade Hampton in their big rivalry game, and they've been just gangbusters since then, just beating everybody up and slam Bamberg. And I love the multiplicity of that offense. These teams are kind of mirror images in a lot of ways, in the sense that they both want to run it first, but they both can, make a big play in the passing game. And certainly Xavier Garvin has played lights out. Kayvon Chisholm's been really good on both sides of the ball. Angelo Lewis, Jameel Bobby, and they've got a lot of weapons. So, I can't wait I plan to be out in Seabrook on Friday night, and I can't wait to see this game. I think it's going to be a great 1A football game.
Yeah, two teams going in different directions. Actually, the polls for Week 7 just coming out for the South Carolina polls coming out this week for the South Carolina High School League, and Estill jumps to number 6 after being unranked and receiving votes, and Whale Branch falls to number 10. Beaufort High staying at number 5. Wade Hampton receiving votes in Class 2A, but Estill certainly deserving of a top 10 ranking now, and I like them in this game against Whale Branch. A Whale Branch team certainly that's going to have to make some adjustments after losing some key pieces that you mentioned to this team. And, I expect Jerry Hatcher to find some success with some of those other guys like Jadarius Garrett. And, of course, you have Ja'Kai Pouchet, who can do it all at quarterback with his legs and a weapon with his arm as well. And so I expect a big game from him. And they'll find some guys who they'll put in there, and certainly love to see a lot of Keith Chisholm, who's just a gifted athlete. You've seen him more on the defensive side, making interceptions, but a guy you can turn to pick up yards on offense as well, and then they'll certainly be counting on him. But I just love the way that Estill is playing. Absolutely phenomenal start to their season. Xavier Garvin has been tremendous at quarterback, 8 touchdowns, 455 passing yards so far this year, and he's been over 500 yards rushing. So he's really produced on the offensive side, and they've got some other weapons they can turn to as well. Jameel Bobine had a nice year so far at running back, and the offensive line has been sensational, open up some holes for those runners and being able to give time for Garvin to make some plays through the air. And yeah, I love how you say they're mirror images of each other. I mean, obviously, it's a run-first mentality for both of these teams, but they can both throw it. And I think that could be the key to seeing which one could find success from that, and which defense might be able to stop the other squad from doing what they want on offense. So going to be interesting to see how this plays out in a big-time, huge region game in 7-1A, but I gotta go with the hot team right now, and that's Estill, just knocked off the number 1 side in Class 1A in resounding fashion, 40-6, an absolute beatdown over Bamberg Earhart. And with Whale Branch still having to find out some questions for some guys, I think I'm gonna go with Estill this time to pick up the win. But it's gonna be a fantastic contest here in South Carolina High School League 1A. But I'm gonna take the Gators.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way too. I just think they're really playing really well right now, and like I said, Whale Branch is kind of having to tinker with some things and figure some things out. And I think I have a lot of faith in Jerry Hatcher and that coaching staff that they're gonna put the puzzle together in a way that's gonna allow them to make a run in the postseason. But I think at this point in time, I think Estill's the better team, and may continue to be the better team through the playoffs. I don't know, but I just know that this week I think they're playing the best football. So I would bet on them if I were a betting man, but certainly not sleeping on Whale Branch. I expect that to be a fight to the finish. That could really go either way. You get a good bounce on a key play at the right time. and that could swing things. So, and I know that Keith Chisholm, if he gets the ball in his hands, he's gonna try to do something with it. And much like Casey Fields over at Beaufort, you just find a way to get it to him and see what happens, because he's pretty tough to bring down once he gets it. So it'll be interesting to see him transition to that running back role and see how much they use him back there and how effective he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a focal point of the offense, and I think he'll continue to get some opportunities to get the football in his hands. And when you have that speed and athleticism of a guy like Keith Chisholm, who has been a big-time playmaker on defense, put him on the offensive side, I'm not going to say the Casey Fields effect, and obviously Casey Fields is talented in himself. It's difficult for anybody to replicate what he's been doing, but, good coaches are able to find new ways to get their playmakers involved, and I think that's the opportunity here for Jerry Hatcher to get more touches for Keith Chisholm and see what he can do to help kickstart this offense. And certainly there are a lot of talented players on both sides of the ball for this Will Branch team, and I certainly do not doubt the ability of head coach Jerry Hatcher to get the most out of them.
Yeah, looking forward to that one on Friday night. Going to be a good one. And then also got a Lowco on Lowco matchup with Colleton County and Hilton Head High. The Cougars 1-5 overall, 0-1 in region. Hilton Head 2-4, 0-1 after that just heartbreaking overtime loss to Bluffton. So looking to get the first win for somebody here. Definitely have to like the Seahawks at home here, but Bluffton backup quarterback came in and torched Hilton Head a little bit in the second half. So maybe Mike Gant can get the deep ball going. But I definitely like Hilton Head's defense to bounce back here. And I think the quarterbacks are playing well enough that they're going to be able to get it done.
Yeah, nobody's had an answer so far for Troy Timko and that offensive line for Hilton Head High, and that's going to be a problem, I think, in this game. I mean, Troy Timko has been unbelievably incredible star for this Hilton Head Seahawks squad this year, and certainly there are questions on who would replace Chase McCracken, who was the workhorse in the backfield last year for Hilton Head High, but it has been all Troy Timko so far this year. 39 carries for 226 yards and 4 touchdowns in the loss to Bluffton, and he has been an absolute star carrying the football, and they're going to continue to put the ball in his hands behind that offensive line that has been playing so well so far these last few games. So I think Timko, and I've seen a lot more from Jackson Bybee and Owen Bays. Bybee made a fantastic throw to Riley McCracken on the run while being chased by the defense to convert a 4th down to keep the game alive for Hilton Head down the stretch. So I love the play that Jackson Bybee has made in these last few games, and Owen Bays really brings a lot to the table with his ability to pick up yards on the option on the ground and or hand it off to Timko. So I like the way the offense is growing with both Bays and Bybee under center, splitting time at quarterback, and the line has been playing well, and I expect them to put some points on the board against Colleton County. And the Cougars, I mean, they certainly have the electricity to score, and I love the way Mike Gant is playing. And Hilton Head, they certainly had some trouble defending the pass. Bluffton was able to torch them for a few touchdowns. It's always stuffed around them, though, with Chris Marable and Chike Thompson. Seahawks did a good job defending the run, but if Colleton County can get the long ball going, open up the pass game, and they might be able to do some damage. But I do like Hilton at home, a motivated Seahawk team looking to bounce back in a game with huge time playoff implications.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. Colleton County, good news for them is they got James Island out of the way. So now, you have your most winnable games theoretically in region ahead of you. So, if they can steal a couple, it would be a heck of a season for them. So Lucy Beckham at Bluffton as the Bengals looking to bounce back after getting blown out at May River, and they get to make the trek back down to Bluffton and take on the Bobcats now. Bluffton, I think the worry here would just be the letdown after the big emotional rivalry win. But, I think it probably helps that you played on Wednesday. You had a little extra time to let it soak in and then get back to work. And I think you said it earlier, but I like Bluffton to get this done. I think this is a very winnable game for them, having seen, what May River's defense. Now, May River's got a good defense. But seeing what they were able to do and frustrate Beckham, I think Bluffton's got a chance to at least keep the score low enough that offense can outproduce the Bengals. And I love that offense more and more every week, really, regardless of who's at quarterback. At this point, I think you have to say you kind of like the offense. Trace Hillman looked pretty good.
Yeah, and he made some huge throws down the stretch to bring Bluffton back to win that ball game. And I expect him to be locked in for this one too. He's gained that confidence. He knows he proved himself that he could do it in a big time rivalry game. And I think against the Lucy Beckham defense that certainly struggled against May River, I think Hillman is going to have another great game against this Beckham Bengals team, and I think Bluffton's going to find some success on offense. And I thought they ran the ball well. Hillman's defense did limit the explosive plays, but I like the way that Buxton hits the hole. Roderick Buxton's been a nice running back for this Bluffton Bobcat team, and I think he should have another solid outing against Lucy Beckham. And, Jalen Linder, of course, he has been the go-to guy, and I love the way that Bluffton has been able to really unlock an extra gear from him with Aiden Gregory to be able to feed him the ball more, let his explosive playmaking move the ball down the field for some big time yardage. And we saw that screen pass, which really was the key turning point in that ball game, where Linder was able to go 70 yards to the end zone. And after that, Hillman was able to really grow into his game and make some big time throws. But just love all that this Bluffton offense can throw at you. And you got some other playmakers I even mentioned, like Kamari Simmons,
yeah,
and a few other guys
Brandon Bryant
and roles, as well as Michael Fritz, who would make two huge touchdown catches to rally Bluffton back and end up winning it in overtime. And man, just love the way that he stepped up. So there's a ton of playmakers on this offense. And Lucy Beckham, how will they be able to adjust against a really tough showing against May River? So Bluffton's offensive line will need a big showing here to give their quarterback time and open some holes for Buxton to do his thing. So, and the defense is going to be on top of it as well. And really like the way they played down the stretch. And Shane Wicker was a guy who really impressed me, who we didn't really talk about that much, but he had a heck of a game. Was making stops everywhere around the field. And of course, you got Jeremiah Curry and Jaquinton Williams, the rock of that defense. And then the line stepped up in some big time spots as well. So I really like the way this Bluffton team is playing. And certainly the emotions are riding high after a big win like that. And it kind of has a little bit of a trap game feel, just because Lucy Beckham had a tough game last week and they're motivated. And sometimes it's tough to kind of refocus after such an emotional win like that. But I expect Bluffton to be locked in under Coach Hayden Gregory, and should be a very competitive game. But I do think the Bobcats will be able to come out on top at home and improve to 2-0. And like I said, this is a team that certainly is starting to look like a contender for this region.
Yeah, I think this was kind of a game as a coach where you have to kind of start to shift the mentality a little bit. And, they've been chip on our shoulder. Nobody believes in us, and rightly so. But now I think this week you have to go, hey, they know who we are now. This is a first-year program. Let's go show them that they don't belong on the field with us. You have to kind of start to pump those guys up a little bit and get them to believe their own hype a little bit as a coach, and get them to go out and put the foot on the pedal and not play down to the competition if it turns out you're, the better team. And I think they will be. You mentioned Buxton. He's quietly having a really, really good year because their passing game does so much. We don't focus too much on that. And then Eaton Golphin has been really effective running the ball too. So you look at what May River did to Lucy Beckham last week with 461 rushing yards. And I think it's going to be a big game for Buxton and Golphin. And especially if Hillman is the starter, then, I think they go run first and let him pick his spots in favorable matchups to take shots down the field.
And those bubble screens to Linder and Kamari Simmons.
That
could be
well, that's I feel like that's such a key to their playbook is just those low risk, high reward plays that get the ball into those guys' hands without really the risk of a turnover. I think we'll see them get more and more creative too with how they do that, and probably see some different jets and shovels and stuff like that. Those guys are watching Patrick Mahomes and trying to pick up some tricks from the offense. We might see the backup tight end sneak at some point, like Eric Bieniemy pulled out the other day. But I look forward to that one. I think Bluffton's going to keep the momentum going and hopefully keep it going into a showdown with May River in a couple weeks would be really fun, because the Sharks are looking like they're back. They bounced back big time last week, and now they go on the road to James Island, and this is going to be a really interesting matchup. I mean, this is going to kind of set the tone for what the region looks like going forward, I think, because I'm not discounting the fact that May River could go up there and pull off the upset, and that would really shake things up. But on the other hand, if James Island does win, what does it look like, and what does that mean going forward? May River got back in a big way last week. Big game on the ground for Jaden Jones and Tanner Macy. Macy had some success through a couple long touchdown passes, which is really good to see because they need to be a little more two-dimensional. We've been saying that, and certainly against James Island they'll have to be because probably going to have to score some points. I think the defense for May River will keep them in it for sure, but this James Island team has some weapons. So, I'd expect this game to be in the 20s, maybe 20s or so. I think that's a good outcome for May River, and they got a shot if they can get a lead early and stay on the ground. Then they've got a real good chance. If they have to start going to the air and playing catch up, it could go sideways for them. But it's going to be an interesting matchup up in Charleston.
Yeah, I think the first kind of sequence is going to be key because May River is not the team that's going to come from behind and go all the way back to win a game because they're just that run-first team that will look to methodically move the ball down the field with Jaden Jones and Tanner Macy. And, like I said, I think the start is key for this May River side. And, it's definitely going to be a challenge against this James Island team. I think the offensive production is going to be key for the Sharks because James Island, they're going to find a way to – they're a tough team to face. And when you look at this James Island squad and the way they've been playing defense, aside from that Cane Bay game, and Cane Bay certainly a strong squad back on September 16th, they lost in a 31-28 decision. But other than that, they have been lights out on defense. And I like the way May River is playing defensively. They've got, Thomas Reich has been a star over there, and they've got some dudes who have stepped in and made big plays. So I like the way May River is playing defensively. Definitely going to be tough against a James Island team with some weapons of its own and with the ability to throw the football down the field with guys like Wushi Ravenel, who's had an outstanding season. Nixon under six has had a great year of it so far. Liam Nixon stepping in at quarterback, and a lot of skill position players that James Island can hook up with. So May River's going to have to be on its toes defensively, but I really think it'll come down to that Shark offense, whether they can get going early, put some drives together, put some points together, and put some pressure on this James Island team. So it's certainly possible the Sharks could pull this off on the road, but it's going to take some terrific execution on both sides for the Sharks to get it done. But a lot to prove and a big opportunity for Rodney Summers' squad as they make the trip over to James Island.
Oh yeah, and they're going to relish the opportunity. They don't get to play the underdog role too often, so and I think they relish that. I think they like to be us against the world, chip on their shoulder. So I think they're probably really eager for this opportunity to go try to shock the region and the state a little bit and show that 1-4 start was a little bit of a fluke, born of a really tough schedule and tinkering with some new personnel. So. Should be a great game up in Charleston, and we'll try to get a report from that game for you on Lowco Pigskin Live Friday night. Woodland at Ridgeland, a little bit of a mismatch here, a region game, so you got to play it. But, man, the Wolverines are awfully good this year. They just beat Hanahan, and now they go to Ridgeland where they're really struggling. And I know they've had some guys out with injuries that they're starting to get back, but this looks like a pretty decent mismatch just because, not to slight the Jags, but the Wolverines are – yeah. I'm really impressed with them. I think they're a contender in 2A.
I believe they are a state title contender. 6-0 start for the Woodland Wolverines. Just came off a huge 42-35 win over Hanahan, and they are looking strong here through their first 6 games of the season, and now ranked number 5 in Class 2A. And you certainly look at the top teams. I think Oceanside Collegiate is the best squad alongside Saluda, but yeah, they're right there. They're right there, and Abbeville is always and Barnwell in the same region as I believe Ridgeland. So that's going to be it's definitely a difficult schedule and what's been going to be a very tough region when you look at 2A with Barnwell, Woodland, Ridgeland, and Wade Hampton. Obviously, Ridgeland still has a ways to go, but those 3, Woodland, Barnwell, and Wade Hampton, 3 very good football teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how that finishes in that 2A region. But yeah, I think this one should be a easy win for the Woodland Wolverines. Ridgeland Hardyville still trying to continue to build. It's just tough, a tough situation for the Jaguars, having to play in such a difficult region. Still a lot of better times ahead for this Rodney Barr coach squad, but it's hard. You just got to try to take some positives out of every game, make some big plays, try to get better every week if you're Rodney Barr, and you'll get some chances maybe to pick up some wins before you get to the end of the season. Some big games up ahead. Edisto and Lake Marion, certainly games you look at saying we compete in these. If we can deliver some good signs from these contests against Woodland, against Barnwell, we can take them with us and get ready for maybe a chance to win late in the season and sneak in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there for Ridgeland Hardyville, but Woodland, they are on a roll this year and expect to improve to 7-0.
Yeah, I like Woodland a lot. That Cam Pringle, that dude is a dude, capital D-U-D-E. He's something else. And when you have a guy like that at the 2A level, I mean, gosh, he can really change the game. You run behind him all day long, and you look like a genius. So, and keeping it in 2A, Wade Hampton at Edisto, same region there. Wade Hampton 5-2, 1-0. Edisto 4-3, 0-1. This one on paper looks like Wade Hampton should be able to take care of business. They ended up playing on Wednesday against Ridgeland, so they've had plenty of time off to get rested up. I think Edisto also played on Wednesday, so even matchup there. I think that was a factor last week with some of these games. Estill coming off a bye week, playing against Bamberg that had just played, although it didn't work out in Hilton Head's favor, did it? But Wade Hampton should be well rested. I know they've had some injuries as well, especially in the trenches that they've been trying to battle through. But I like their skill position players a lot. I think Chris Terry is doing a terrific job of managing the game, making good decisions, and hurting them with his arm when he needs to. And then they found creative ways to get Zion Dobson involved in the passing game too, which I really appreciate that. He's excellent out of the backfield, and when you get him in space, he is really tough to catch. So I love what they've done there. I really like what Rob Hanna's doing, and I think they'll keep it going on the road this week against Edisto.
Yeah, I love when they're able to get Zion Dobson out in space on some play action from Chris Terry. When I went to the Hilton Head Wade Hampton game, and the Red Devils were able to find some success with Dobson as a pass catcher, and Hilton Head was able to shut down the run. Dobson was able to make some plays out wide in some when he got some space. So I like to see Dobson have more different roles on this team moving forward, and I think that Wade Hampton will stick with that as they continue here. But I love the way this Red Devils team is playing. Certainly, that was a difficult loss against Hilton Head. They fell 9-7 against Bamberg Earhart. Big bounce back win. The dog stops barking.
It's okay. Roll with it. Kornheiser's dog barks all the time. It's fine.
Totally it. That was an important bounce back victory for Wade Hampton against Ridgeland Hardyville, and then this is a game they should win, and I expect them to get on top here and finish off the victory. But Edisto, I'm not going to doubt this Edisto team, their ability to compete. They've been playing against some strong competition and holding their own, but I do think Wade Hampton, with the rushing ability of Zion Dobson and his ability to make some plays in space, and with the electric quarterback play of Chris Terry alongside a defense that defense has been playing well. They give a few points to Hilton Head, but they made the Seahawks earn it, and then they only allowed 9 to Bamberg Earhart and gave up just 8 to Ridgeland. So the defense is playing better, and they got some great playmakers on that side of the ball. So I expect Wade Hampton to win this game, but not without a fight from Edisto. But this is a big time reaching contest for both sides, and I think Wade Hampton will pull it out.
Yep, I like them on the road in this one. I think they're still a factor in 2A. I know they fell out of the rankings, but I think they're right there in the mix. And then finally on Saturday morning, we're going to have Beaufort at Battery Creek, a little morning special over in Burton on the turf. Going to be a lot of fun there. And, I think if Beaufort was sleeping at all, I don't think you really sleep on renewing a rivalry with your primary crosstown rival after a few years off. But if there was any possibility of them overlooking Creek, I think that has gone by the wayside. And Casey Fields told us as much on the Lowco Sports Lowdown. But, Battery Creek has their attention. They beat Whale Branch. They had a nice comeback win last week, although we'll see what the prognosis is on Damian Freeman and how quickly he can get back. I don't think Creek is prepared to beat Beaufort, but I think they're going to come out swinging. I think that defense is going to be gunning hard. They've got some tough-nosed players on that defense, and Samari Bonds is probably going to feel a little bit of heat early on and going to have to make some reads and stuff. But I expect Casey Fields to keep rolling, and that offensive line for Beaufort is just so good. I think over time they'll be able to wear them down and start to do some damage on the ground. But I do expect Battery Creek to come out fighting and trying to put up a fight. And of course, Beaufort's going to be trying to land a Joe Frazier haymaker in the first quarter and just put the uprising to rest early on. So we'll see. I think the start's going to be key for Creek. If they can stay in it early, they got a shot to make it interesting. But if Beaufort comes out and slams it down their throat on the first series, it could be a long day for the Dolphins.
Yeah, if they can put together some strong drives early for Battery Creek, and if they can take some time and kind of shorten the game in a sense, I think that could be huge for a Battery Creek team that now is a 2-game winning streak and knocked off Whale Branch, came from behind, beat North Charleston, and certainly have gained some great confidence going forward. But this Beaufort team is at a whole nother level right now. And it really starts up front with the offensive line, Nate Casey Fields, who has been a monster carrying the football. It's going to be tough for the Dolphins to continue to stop him, especially late. I think Beaufort's going to be able to grind it out later and be able to salt this one away. But I think Battery Creek's going to give Beaufort a strong game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Creek strikes first in this one, especially with that dynamic play of McKeechin. You certainly would love to see Damian Freeman back out there, but trying to recover from an injury. But I love the way that this Battery Creek team has been approaching things offensively. Really got it going late against North Charleston, and McKeechin was a big factor. So Beaufort High's defense, though, that's a whole nother challenge. And they play better than the sum of their parts. They may not have the stars they had last year, like Alvin Wilson, some of those other guys in that secondary. But, Colton Ferries has been a rock. Carter Bowersox has been a rock in the linebackers. And just everybody does their job so well, and they play better than the sum of their parts. And Bryce Lyburn has just done wonders for that team as a head coach in such a short time. And just love the way that he's grown that defense. And, Battery Creek has some dudes, but I expect Beaufort to win at that line of scrimmage and be able to make some plays with those solid linebackers. And it's just so difficult to pass the ball on this Beaufort team, and that secondary can play lights out with Lamar and Jamar Knight. That's really become a strength of their team. So I think Beaufort High's defense will rise to the occasion in a game where they won't take them lightly. And Casey Fields said that, and I think Beaufort High will deliver on that. I think the Eagles get it done, and I think they pull away in the second half to beat the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think they'll take care of business too. I think the depth, the physicality up front is a big part of it. Battery Creek's got some dudes on that defensive line, but they're a little bit undersized. Well, at least Tyus is a little undersized, and that's a big old offensive line for Beaufort. I think they'll start to get the better of them over time. And then, like you said, that defense is just excellent. You see the depth on that defense. Somebody gets hurt, and there's somebody else who steps right in, and there's really little loss. And Battery Creek, you started to see the depth on the defense was weakening a little bit last week when both Freeman and Derek Smalls were out. The secondary had a couple freshmen in there at times, and that could be a problem against Beaufort High that has some guys who can hurt you in the passing game. So I think, but Beaufort will humble Battery Creek a little bit, but I still, that was a huge win, huge 2 wins in a row for Creek. And I think they've still got the potential to potentially knock off somebody else in that region and make somebody's life miserable in the first round of the playoffs potentially too. So should be a great high school league slate. We've got a bunch of good matchups. Only a couple that look a little lopsided, but they should be pretty good across the board. So look forward to running those down on Lowco Pigskin Live. It's going to be good stuff. And let's take a quick break in here from our sponsors, Wes, and then you and Dylan Price will be back to break down the Skeeza slate here in week 7 on Lowco Pigskin Preview.
This podcast is made possible by our sustaining sponsors. Our original sponsor, Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of LowcoSports.com. Go see Ryan and Tiffany and the Mickle Squad for all your legal needs and support the local businesses that support Lowco. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling the best pies in Bluffton and on Hilton Head, but don't sleep on the mac and cheese. Star Home Services, official residential cleaning service of Lowco Sports. Sometimes you just don't want to clean. Call on Carla and her amazing team to do the dirty work at a great price and tell them Lowco sent you. 843 Sport, the official training center of Lowco Sports. No matter your game, 843 Sport is the place to take it to the next level. They're bringing all the area's top trainers and some of the best elite travel teams from various sports under one roof at 843 Sport. DDS Web Design, the official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. If you have a business and you want to get found, look no further than DDS. They can build an attractive and effective website loaded with all the cutting-edge SEO tools you need to show up where people are looking, on Google. Dave and Denise will get it done. Additional support provided by Cannon Specialty Services, Bluffton Pest Control, Next Move, The Fit Club in Belfairtown Village, and our Patreon members. Join today for $1 or more per month at patreon.com/LowcoSports to get early or exclusive access to our local sports content and exclusive Lowco swag.
Hey, Lowco sports fans, welcome back to the Lowco Pigskin Preview for Week 7. And it was a crazy week in Week 6. We had several games pushed up due to the hurricane, and we actually had a game pushed back, which finished on Monday. So we got a game to recap first before we dive into Week 7, and that is Hilton Head Christian Academy picking up its 4th consecutive win, taking down First Baptist by a score of 28-12 on the road. And another very impressive performance by Dylan Clark, who has really grown into his role at quarterback. Certainly some questions come in, but pair of touchdown passes and rushed for another score, and defense came up big again in a win over the First Baptist Hurricanes. And Dylan Clark with touchdown passes to Morgan Beadenbaugh and Harrison Skinner add a rushing score. And then Caden Turner, who seems to find a way into the end zone every single game this year, added a kickoff return for a touchdown, also picked off a pass. And just a complete effort from Hilton Head Christian Academy, who is rolling here midway through the season. I'm joined by Dylan Price here, our Skeezers correspondent. Dylan, what another impressive showing for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, starting with the season 0-2 and then coming back with 4 straight wins, that's big. That says a lot about Coach Baduzzi. It says about a lot what he's instilled there. Seems like the defense is starting to really find the identity of their junkyard dogs again, flying around and playing. And, Hilton Head Christian didn't score as many points as I thought they were against First Baptist, but that also you can take into account. That's a hurricane game. That's on a Monday night. That's hard to play like that. We've had to do that before. And so I think it's looking good for them going forward. And they got a tough matchup this week, but it's looking good right now.
Let's get right into that. This is a game that I circled at the beginning of the season on my calendar. I cannot wait to cover it in person. A battle of 2 defending Skeezers state champions, the 2A champs from last year, Hilton Head Christian Academy, who we just mentioned, coming back home to take on the Thomas Hayward Rebels, who have been rolling so far this year at 5-0, defending 1A state champs. And I think we are in for a heck of a battle. I wish we could have gotten it last year because look at all the talent that we had on both sides on offense. But this is still going to be a fantastic game between 2 teams that have been on the up and up so far this year. Thomas Hayward, of course, unbeaten. Hilton Head Christian has rattled off 4 straight. So it is going to be an exciting contest over there in Bluffton on Friday night. And I think Hilton Head Christian County has the edge coming into this one. I really am impressed by the way they've been playing on defense, what Matt Smith has done. But Thomas Hayward, they can do so many different things on offense. Really explosive group led by Dietrich Schufert. And it's going to be a great test for both sides. And cannot wait to go out and see this one.
Yeah, I've liked what Hilton has done to improve and get 4 straight wins. I mean, that's nothing to complain about. But, again, it's a short week. You just played last night, and you only have really and truly 2 days to prepare because today is kind of not an off day, but more like a walkthrough. Guys are a little bit banged up, and Thomas Hayward has had a week and a half to prepare because they didn't play the other night. So I think with the physicality standpoint, I think Thomas Hayward's going to edge this one out just a little bit from Hilton Head Christian.
Yeah, and I think this one could go either way. I really like the way Christian Academy, the way Dylan Clark has been playing on offense. I think they're going to be able to put some points on the board. But it's interesting to see how Thomas Hayward does offensively against a really stout Christian Academy defense that's been flying to the football, making some big plays. And from the secondary to that defensive line led by Matthew Scarpa, they've got so many guys who have fit into the system. I think the thing for Hilton Head Christian Academy has really been impressive is I'm impressed by how quickly it's been to have that transition with a couple of guys who haven't really had that football experience but are just built athletes transitioning to become solid football players. And it's been seamless really these last few weeks. And once again, a lot of credit to Matt Smith and those junkyard dogs who have continued to kind of live up to that name these last few weeks. But I mean, you look at Thomas Hayward, you look at just so many skilled guys who have been stepping up for this team, Dietrich Schufert, but Tony O'Banner, Tyshawn Mansell, Anthony Fripp. So I'm excited to see that matchup. What Hilton Christian Academy can do defensively to stop this Thomas Hayward offense has been really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think we're going to see actually a shootout, really. Schufert and Mansell in the air game, I mean, it's awesome. And then Clark running around and finding those receivers long down the fields. I think we're going to see a lot of quick scores. It's going to come down to really who gets that first initial couple stops. That will really determine this one.
Yeah, two very explosive offenses, and I do agree with you. There's going to be some scoring, but I think I would favor Hilton and Christian Academy defensively. From what I've seen these last few years, they've been playing better. But like you said, it's tough to have such a short transition period between games. Just coming off that win over First Baptist, you got to play just 4 days later. So it's a short week. It's hard to prepare for a team in that short of a span. Thomas Hayward has certainly had some time to prepare for it. So that's a big factor, but going to be a great game. And before I head over to Bluffton to see the Eagles play, I will be at the matinee contest over at Hilton Ed Prep. This is a big-time region game in Class 3A and another local on local battle. Hilton Ed Prep Dolphins 0-5, looking for that elusive first win of the season as they welcome in a John Paul II team that has been struggling these last few contests, but still a lot of positive signs for the Golden Warriors with the electric play of Christian Tilton over there. Love to see the defense make that jump, but Hilton Ed Prep certainly would love to have some offensive success as well. A.J. Barger has been a sensation at wide receiver. Lonsell Daly is very potent on the ground. If Hilton Ed Prep can get the offensive line going, could be a successful day for the Dolphins. So a big contest for both of these teams. Would love to get a win to really kickstart the remainder of their campaigns, and a big opportunity as well for Dustin Etheridge after having that week off to prepare. What do you expect to see here on Sea Pines on Friday afternoon?
Well, the John Paul has had a rough couple weeks, but you gave up 69 to Cardinal Newman, 4A school, huge. We'll go deep into the playoffs. And then Hilton Ed Prep, you're still playing with effort. You're still playing fast. You're still flying around the ball. So I do think this will be a good matchup. But, again, I do think John Paul and Coach Myers are going to outsmart him a little bit with the triple option, because when you got a defense flying around and going fast, full speed, that's when you really get them with the triple option offense. So it'll be hard for Hilton Ed Prep. And JP2, I like what they do on offense. You would like to see JP2's defense really step up, maybe even pitch shutout, one-score game or something. And then Hilton Ed Prep, you'd really like to see them get the ball to their playmakers and make them make plays in the open field.
Yeah, I mean, I think the blocking is going to be key. Really, the offensive defensive line on both sides for Hilton Ed Prep, which, it's tough when you have a limited number of athletes that Dustin Etheridge has at disposal. But I love the play of A.J. Barger. He's been really fun to watch. But, I think John Paul II, I think they have the edge offensively. They've been red hot so far on that side of the ball, and just love all the playmakers that they have at their disposal with Jackson Ogden, Tony Hill, who's been a really underrated guy at running back this year. And the offensive line is doing a good job opening up some holes. So I think JB2 will win the battle at the line of scrimmage. And I think that will propel them to a win, but not without a strong fight for Hilton Prep. They're only 5, but it seems like they've been in a lot of these games. They've been competitive in so many of these contests. They almost took out Bethesda Academy, which Blazers are having a great year, and certainly a team that will be tough to face down the stretch. So you have to be impressed by Dustin Etheridge in his team's fight so far, despite not having that victory. They're going to battle until the end for sure on Friday afternoon over in Sea Pine. So excited to cover that game as well. And speaking of Bethesda Academy, a big-time region battle in Class 2A with the Bethesda Academy Blazers going to the undefeated Colleton Prep Warhawks. And then this is the first of what's going to be a really fun round robin between Bethesda Academy, Colleton Prep, and a Beaufort Academy. Look like the top 3 teams for sure in that region in 2A, and Colleton Prep absolutely steamrolling so far, 6-0. What a story that has been taking place over there with Greg Langdale and the Warhawks. But this is going to be a difficult test against Bethesda Academy with some terrific athletes in the Zaire and Zayden Edwards, the Edwards brothers. But Colleton Prep has been rolling on both sides of the ball, and I think there's going to be a couple difference makers in this ball game for Colleton Prep, especially with the ability to throw the football down the field that we've seen with Cole Davis and Caden Crosby. So you think Colleton Prep could make it 7-0?
I definitely think they can. And in the past, when we've always watched film against Colleton Prep, it was always against Bethesda. And they always played Bethesda tough. They've, really, really shown their physicality. And so has Bethesda. And then this Bethesda team is a 360 from last year's team, going 1-9, and you're off to a hot start now. So I think this game is really and truly a toss-up to who's going to win. I can see College Prep winning by a lot, and I can see Bethesda winning by a lot. So it just determines really the line of scrimmage. Bethesda's known for having really big line players, and College Prep, they have big guys, but not as much as the Bethesda guys. So it'll be a great game. I'm enjoyed to see this one.
It's going to be exciting. Playmakers on both sides of the field. Menson Zaire and Zayden Edwards for Bethesda. I got to see them in person when they played Hilton Head Prep. Absolute dudes out there. Absolute warriors with just amazing athleticism. And I believe Zaire or Zayden, one of those two, made a sensational one-handed catch in that Hilton Head Prep game. Absolutely freak athletes, and excited to see how they do against Colleton Prep. But the Warhawks can certainly go toe-to-toe with this Blazers team, and I really think the passing game could be a big factor. Which team can get it going? And we've seen Colleton Prep have some success with Cole Davis and Caden Crosby, and I just love the versatility and the multi-faceted offense has really been a big part of Colleton Prep's game plan. But that defense with Noah Catterton leading the way on the line has been unbelievable so far. And can they create pressure and then make it difficult for Bethesda Academy to do what they want to do? So a great chess match here, a fantastic ball game, and big postseason implications for both of these teams in SCISA 2A, and could very well determine who will come out on top in what should be a great 3-team round robin here to determine that region title winner in Class 2A. Staying here on Class 2A, Beaufort Academy, the other team in that 3-way round robin, will have a very difficult test at Williamsburg Academy, and that is a team that's looking like a state championship contender over there in SCISA 2A. They have been rolling so far, off to a 5-0 start. They knocked off PD Academy in Class 3A. That's a really impressive win. And this Williamsburg Academy team is the real deal. So if you're Beaufort Academy, you want to prove yourself, go on the road and beat Williamsburg Academy. It's going to be a very difficult order for this BA team, but certainly play with a chip on their shoulder. 5-1 coming in, had that loss to Hilton Head Christian Academy. Certainly did not sit well with them. And so a lot of motivation for this BA team heading on the road to a Williamsburg squad who has been playing lights out. Do you think the BA Eagles have any chance of pulling off this victory on the road?
Oh, man, Williamsburg, very well-coached team. Coach Shelley has done a tremendous job since he's got there, and he even showed that in the state championship game last year against a dominant Hilton Head Christian team. Williamsburg plays with anybody. They play to the level of their competition, especially when it's higher, so they like to prove people wrong. So I'm definitely, if you're BA right here, this is a crucial game for you to win if you want to make a statement. This is a statement game for you. Do I think you could do that? I definitely do. Jackson Porter and Devontae Green, they've been running the ball outstandingly well, and Braden Deneen has been passing the ball well too. I don't know. I think Williamsburg is going to have a little bit of an edge here. That's a long trip from Beaufort to Williamsburg. So I think I got Williamsburg, but I think BA will definitely put up a really solid fight.
Yeah, I can see them making this a game. I think it could be competitive in the third and fourth quarter, but Williamsburg Academy has been on an absolute roll this year, and it's going to take a complete effort really on all sides of the field for Beaufort Academy to steal this one. Just a really impressive stretch for Williamsburg Academy, and they are looking like the favorites in Class 2A, and maybe this is a preview of what we could see at the end of November, Thanksgiving weekend over in Charleston Southern in the state championship game. So either way, win or loss, the experience of playing a team like this, I think, will be really valuable for BA and for Mark Clifford. And I'm a fan of this offense. Obviously you have that rushing attack of Jackson Porter, Devontae Green, but what Tayshawn Hayward has added in the deep passing game, when Braden Deneen has been able to make those throws deep down the field, and that can make a huge difference and open up the offense against a tough team like Williamsburg. So, and the defense has been playing some hard-nosed football. The tough one last week, a chance to bounce back, but certainly going to be a tall order against a Williamsburg team that has found ways to score. They've scored 40 points in 3 straight games. They've been firing all cylinders. So going to be tough to take down the Stallions team that is motivated to go all the way and win a state title, but certainly expect a good fight from the BA Eagles as they get ready for some big-time region games of their own in the coming weeks. But big opportunity, big statement game, as you said, for Beaufort Academy. Cross schools, 0-4 going to Clarendon Hall. It's been a tough first transition year to football for this cross program, and certainly a lot of good to take away. They've been able to play a couple games and improve the team, but certainly it's been an uphill battle for them, and now still an opportunity for a first win of the season at Clarendon Hall. And you just hope that they continue to build things in the right direction, lay down the foundation as they get ready to go on the road and battle a Saints team this week.
Yeah, super young team playing a super experienced Saints team. Clarendon Hall, I think, is 4-1. They're, they got a lot of playmakers that Cross necessarily does not have, but it's another learning opportunity, another way to get things going and flowing. So we'll see.
And rounding out the Skeeza schedule here for week 7, and I believe you will be at this one, your Dorchester Academy squad at Patrick Henry. And what a fantastic matchup. Patrick Henry has been one of my favorite stories of the year. First team back in 11-man football, their first season back there since back in the 90s. So and they have been having absolutely huge success over there in that first year back. So a lot of good to take away from Patrick Henry, but this is going to be a tough matchup against a really strong Dorchester Academy team. I want to hear your impressions on this and some of the players that you're looking forward to seeing and what should be a terrific Skeeza 1A contest.
Well, I look at it like this. Patrick Henry had a huge win against Clarendon Hall, very big game, momentum, the big rivalry for them. And then Dorchester beat Dillon Christian 44-22, but it wasn't that spectacular of a game for them. So, and then another thing, if Hugh Ferry's back, that changes a lot, everything for Patrick Henry's offense, because, Hugh can throw the ball really well. I've seen it. And then Dorchester, you want to get Caleb Byron more in the passing game and keep Connor Hartzog in the rushing game. And then for Patrick Henry, you want to keep Forrest in the passing game, and you want to keep William Hazel in the rushing game. So I think this is going to be a great game. This goes back to the old school days, Patrick Henry, DA. I think you're going to see a lot of running plays in this game, especially if Hugh Ferry is not back. So I don't know who to give the edge to this one there, because it could definitely go two ways. Momentum is definitely a big thing in this game. No win is safe. Patrick Henry had proven that against Clarendon Hall. Same thing with DA. DA proven that at OP in the first couple weeks of the season. So this is a really exciting game. This says a lot about how the playoffs are going to go and stuff like that.
Yeah, and big time playoff implications on the line here, and I think I think that's a huge factor. If they can get that quarterback back in the lineup for Patrick Henry, I think that's going to make a huge difference. But I'm excited. Could be a lot of electric playmaking in this contest, and it's a big one. A lot on the line here, and just take me back to some of your memories in a rivalry like this, playing for Dorchester Academy. What was the electricity like, and just take me through that experience of playing a game like this and with big implications on the line.
Oh, man, it's awesome. As a player, you don't want to say the week is different, but in your mind, it is. Like every time we played a Colvin Prep or St. John's or Calhoun, those weeks were a little bit different. You can see everybody, more effort in practice, more game watching, game studying. So I love when these teams get to play each other. And I used to love when I got to play each other. I loved when I played Thomas Hayward because they were always, a lot better than us, and it just gave us a chance to prove ourselves. And for both teams, this is it right here.
Well, everything's starting to mean more as we head down the stretch in the regular season in Skeeza football. Dylan Price, thank you so much for coming on, and look forward to talking to you again for our Lowco Pigskin Live this Friday night.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more here on the Lowco Pigskin Preview.
All right, great work from you and Dylan getting us ready for the Skeeza slate this week. Going to have some great games out there, and we'll look forward to running those down for you on Lowco Pigskin Live around 11:15 on Friday night. And only one thing left to do now, Wes, and that's to name our players of the week. And you get the first crack, and we got another just incredible crop of nominees. So it's going to be a tough pick for you this week. No runaway winner like Casey Fields last week.
This is a very, very tough decision. I'm just looking through all these names, and it is hard to pick just one. But you know what? I'm going to pick somebody who is not even on that list, and that would be Bluffton's Trace Hillman, who absolutely deserves this honor because it is far from easy to come into the game as a backup in a rivalry atmosphere like this and perform at the level that he did. And absolutely sensational performance from Trace, 8-15 for 226 yards and 3 touchdown passes, all of them coming in the second half. He looked so poised down the stretch, made some phenomenal throws, including that go-ahead touchdown pass to Michael Fritz, who had himself back in the game as well. And, he had to be accurate and get the ball out quickly, and he did all of that and so much more And that's a product from all the time he spent studying the playbook and taking in what Max von Hohenstraten did to get ready for a ball game. And man, did he do something special last Wednesday, stepping up big time and pulling out a monumental rivalry game win. So Trace Hillman, you are my player of the week for week 6.
That's respect to that pick. And I told you when you texted me, said Max is out. I said, hey man, don't sleep on the Hillman kid. I've seen him. He's a studies the game. He's a student of the game. He's going to know what's going on, and he's going to be able to make something happen out there. And sure enough, he made me look good, going 10 of 18 for 221 and 3 touchdowns officially, according to the Max Prep. So very good stuff there. But man, it was tough to take him over his teammate, right? Over his number one receiver. Heck of a game from Jalen Linder as well. He had the interception in overtime, as well as 6 catches for 182 and 2 touchdowns. Another monster game for him. So, man, he's having a great year. Well, I'm going to have to go. Gosh, it's really tough. Casey Fields had another monster game. He had 271 and 4 touchdowns, but I'm going to go across town to another guy I saw in person, Jeremiah McEachin. 32 carries, 262 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns in a 40-24 win over North Charleston for Battery Creek. And the reason I'm going with him is because, he literally had to put him on his back. Damian Freeman went out in the first half with a, feared broken collarbone, at least a collarbone injury. And they tried some other guys back there, and they just didn't quite have enough juice. And Meach just had to keep carrying it. They'd take him out for a carry here or there and let somebody else just be a sacrificial lamb for a play, but he'd have to go back right back in there and get back to work. So you carry it 32 times and average almost 10 yards a pop. That's a day's work, and Meach was definitely feeling it the next day, I guarantee you. But just a yeoman-like performance from him. I've been really impressed with him all year. I think he and Damian are an awesome duo in that they don't seem to mind splitting the carries, splitting the stats. And I'm sure he'll be happy to get his guy Freeman back to help share the load a little bit after the beating he took last week. But really impressed with him. So shout out to Jeremiah McEachin. He's my player of the week. Yeah,
sensing the key theme here, next man up mentality, and both Hillman and McEachin displayed that, put their teams on their back in order to, I think more of a sense of McEachin because he was kind of the guy, and Hillman had obviously Jalen Linder in his skill position better to turn to, but in this sense, I think it was McEachin who really sparked that comeback, 3-2 for 262 yards and 3 touchdowns. The game needed to win in order to get into the playoffs, because we pretty much know that game is going to decide that fourth and final playoff spot most likely. So it most likely is going to serve as that win-in scenario. And McEachin got it done for Battery Creek to send the Dolphins to just a big-time region win, and just love the way he plays. I got to see him. He actually started running back when he was at Hilton Head, and I just loved his burst off the snap, his ability to hit the holes, and just his overall poise as a runner in the ball game. Just a lot of those qualities really stuck out to me, and he's going to be a key piece down the stretch, carrying the rock. It's great to have that two-headed monster alongside Damian Freeman, and I just love the way that Battery Creek run game is going these last few weeks of the season, and just love the way Terrence Ash has built this Battery Creek team. Playing with the chip on their shoulder, they have given it their all in every game. I noticed that from that very first one against Hilton Head, and this is a special Creek team, and they are certainly on the rise here in 2022, and a big part of that has been those 2 runners of Damian Freeman and your player of the week, Jeremiah McEachin.
Absolutely, and that offensive line's done a terrific job too. There's a bunch of seniors on there that they've been excited about for a long time. So seeing that come to fruition, and you'll see those guys graduate next year, and that's the challenge, is to keep it going. To have another crop of guys coming behind them. But I know they're excited about the JV team, and the energy on the sidelines and in the stadium is definitely noticeably different than it has been the past few years. So hopefully they can keep the good things going, keep the creek rising over there in Burton. So, well, that's going to do it for this episode, Wes. Good stuff as always. Enjoyed it, and can't wait until Friday night to get another round of games to talk about with you on Friday night, and then again next Tuesday. But thanks so much to our sponsors who make this all happen, our sustaining sponsors, as well as to Dylan Price for jumping on to talk about these Skeezy games with us, and of course to our listeners and viewers who keep us coming back to do it over and over again. Thanks so much to you. That's going to do it for this episode. We'll see you on Lowco Pigskin Live Friday night. Until then, go Lowco.